Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Well, last week, where we were talking about the earthquake that struck off the coast of Russia and triggered tsunami warnings up and down the Pacific coast. Well, this week here in the US, we had a fair amount of activity. We had an earthquake in Northern California, and just a few days ago here on the East Coast in New Jersey, they had a 2.6 or 2.7 magnitude earthquake here in the East Coast. And I have to tell you, we are not used to earthquakes on the East Coast. It kind of freaks us out. You know, you hear about it in California and out west. Well, we just are not used to it out here. It happens from time to time, but it's a weird thing for us. And interesting fun fact that here on the East Coast, the Earth's crust is a little bit older. Or the Earth itself is a little bit older. So an earthquake is felt a little bit more strongly and felt a little bit more wider. Now, still a bizarre feeling, but New Jersey, wow, they literally got rocked this week. And not only have we had earthquakes, we are keeping our eyes open on wildfires. Yes, poor California is dealing with wildfires again. And we are having that large Grand Canyon wildfire out in Arizona. We've had a little bit of containment in the last day or so from the firefighters out there that are putting their lives on the line to fight it for our well-beings, and thank you for your service. But it has been huge and very widespread, and we are kind of keeping our eyes out there. And not only California and Arizona, well, the Canadian wildfires are massive, and we are having experiences here in the East Coast. We are feeling the effects here. Today was very overcast. It kind of looked like we had a storm brewing, but that is from the Canadian wildfires. New York, Boston has poor air quality. Michigan and up in the New England area, it's poor air quality there. So the Canadian wildfires, we are feeling the effects here in the U.S. Very, very widespread, and the skies are blanketed. This is August. We don't want gray skies, heavy, thick, poor air quality gray skies. I mean, goodness. Here in our area, humidity is bad enough. You don't need to add any other complications to the air quality in the tri-state area. That is for certain. And not only that, we have storms moving across the east, and in the south, we are preparing for some flooding. So we've got our eyes on you. We've had a lot of flooding there in the past several weeks, and they're expecting a new system moving in. So please, the south, just be careful and be prepared, especially with that low-lying areas down there. And not just that, the storms there, we have stuff coming in off the East Coast from the Atlantic. This is the height of hurricane season. Last week, 3 different systems. Dexter was definitely worthy watching, especially it was looking that it was heading to the mid-Atlantic area. Dexter has fizzled out. There was 2 other systems. Looks like we don't have the concern that we did several days ago. The National Weather Service has declared that there's no major threat kind of right now, no major storm system, but we are watching. Right now, it has been a very hot, turbulent weathers this summer. So anything can happen. So please, we've had some pretty major and destructive systems the last several years. And please, let's keep our fingers crossed. We have several months to go in hurricane season. So Mother Nature will be good. I swear. Just please spare us. Please spare us. And speaking of major systems moving in, well, let's work our way into the world of politics. Well, the administration just celebrated its first 200 days in office in their second term. So there's a milestone there. And to mark that, well, the tariffs are here and they are in full effect. The markets have been up and down, up and down. We were expecting this. So I guess we will see in the next several weeks to months to years the effects that it will have on businesses and on consumers. But here we are. It is here. We are in it and we are feeling it. Then you have RFK, who just slashed major funding for vaccine research and development. Ay, 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 there's that. And let's work our way over to Texas. And don't mess with Texas. It's a little messy in Texas right now. Democrats broke quorum and fled the state to avoid voting on a redistricting. And if this isn't messy enough, California and New York are saying that they might actually do the same thing if they are pressed with this whole new redistricting. This would give Republicans extra seats, and it's on. The battle has begun. It is ugly. And we still have the Epstein files going on. It is out there. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. Ghislaine Maxwell was moved, to a lesser secure facility. And this is where politics and Bravo meet again. Who are some of her roommates in this lesser secure facility? Jen Shaw of Salt Lake City Housewives, yes. And Elizabeth Holmes with the whole Theranos scandal. Yes, this facility is for non-violent criminals, but people are pissed that she was moved. We want to know why. And it continues. The whole Epstein thing continues, and the beat keeps going on. Now, not only do we have that conspiracy, there's some other mysterious stories coming out of the news. So let's work our way back to New York. Well, in Montauk, the beautiful Hamptons, there is a mysterious death. A 33-year-old designer who owns East by East, Martha Nolan O'Slatera, and I hope I said her name correctly. She was found unresponsive in the docked boat at the Montauk Yacht Club. And right now there'll be an investigation and I'm sure an autopsy, but they have no idea of how this woman passed. They don't know if it was accidental, if it was natural, if there was something more, unless there was something foul at play. So we shall see, and a little bit more should come out about this, but we have no idea. And when you see those pictures, beautiful young girl had the world at her fingertips and just sudden, and no one knows why. So I hope we get some answers for the family. And I'm sure that it just completely just shook that entire community. That's a very tight-knit area and community, and especially right there in the marina, people know similar faces, and just an absolute shock. So I hope something comes out and we understand why this young, beautiful girl, something happened to her. We just don't know. So hopefully we'll find out something. And speaking of mysterious cases, let's work our way over to HBO Max. Now, there is a docu-series on called The Yogurt Shop Murders. Right now, there has been one episode released. If you're into cold cases, unsolved crime, this one is going to get you right away. In 1991, in Austin, Texas, police, fire, emergency responders were called to this yogurt shop for a fire. Well, once the fire department went in and started putting out the fire, they found 4 bodies of 4 young girls. So now the police are involved. Well, come to find out that 4 teenage girls were murdered, shot, execution style, in the back of the head in this yogurt shop. I think there's 2 17-year-old girls, a 15-year-old girl, and a 13-year-old girl. I had not heard this case before, and just awful. And they have no suspects, no motive. The only thing right now that the police can figure out is maybe a robbery gone wrong. But once the fire department put out the fire and the cops called in, they find these 4 girls that were stripped, and their clothing and undergarments were used as restraints. And of course, the police were like, when you see stripped individuals, you want to make sure that there was no sexual crime. but however, the bodies were so damaged by the fire, this they really couldn't get any forensics off of the bodies, out of the yogurt shop, because there's just too much damage from the fire, and then water damage from the firemen putting out the fire. So they just don't understand why. I mean, these four young beautiful girls were so viciously and savagely murdered, and no one knows why. So they're just trying to piece it together. They thought that they may have had a suspect or so, and they just, so many years later, still have nothing to go on. So there's only been, like I said, one episode released. I will definitely be watching more. It is a horrific story, but still unsolved. So I hope, just like, that all these other cold cases documentaries are coming out, I really hope that the internet sleuths out there really can help with this investigation, put some new details, new evidence into play, and help solve this case for the families. In the documentary, you hear from the investigators, the police, you hear from some of the people that were on the scene, you hear from family members. The mom who lost the two daughters, oh my gosh. You hear from other family members, siblings, other parents, from the other children's, people in the community, friends, high schools, relatives, just gut wrenching. And still they have nothing today, which is just the most torturous thing of all. Not only losing their children, but having no answers to go on, just must be just the worst thing. Those poor families. Really good documentary. If you are into that crime kind of genre, unsolved cold cases, the yogurt shop murders. And I was reading that, and this one, please pardon me, I cannot remember which website or article I was reading it, but I was reading some of the producers and the filmmakers behind that docuseries, The Yogurt Shop Murders, had to get therapy after the making of that, because it was just so disturbing. And I've heard that a lot of documentaries and shows like that before. It takes a long time to produce and make these documentaries, and it's so much research. And so much of it over time, it's a slow breakdown, and it is so disturbing. It really affects them psychologically and emotionally and other ways. So I can understand how they would need some type of assistance and therapy after that. Sure, I get it. When you live in that bubble for a while, I could see that. I don't know how people in, like, detectives, firefighters, and police officers and EMTs, I don't know how sometimes they can sleep at night after viewing what they see in their job every day. Just the incredible scenes that they see, life-saving, just I can't imagine how unforgettable the images that they see. And I don't know how they can sleep at night. It takes a very special and strong person to be able to do those jobs and to be able to rest at night, because I cannot imagine myself the psychological toll that it takes on you. I remember talking to somebody who was a cop once, and I'm like, I don't know, how can you sleep at night? They're like, I sleep just fine. I'm like, I don't know. That's why you do the job that you do. I don't know how you do it. So thank you that you can do that and compartmentalize that, because I don't think I could have that disconnect. It would just crush me. I don't know. I just couldn't do it. So thank you to those who do it. But wow, what a docuseries. So the Yogurt Shop Murders, HBO Max. Wow. And if you want to see some other crazy and bizarre stories, Netflix has a docu-series out called Trainwreck, and each episode is a completely different story. One time we had one of the first episodes was about the PI Moms reality show, and the craziness behind that, how the guy who owned the show was kind of like a con man and running this crazy scheme behind filming and entertainment company that was backing this show. Bizarre. Then you had the Travis Scott fiasco with the Astro World. Whoa. And a couple others. Very good series. Short. And also there was one about the storming of the Area 51. So each episode different, a little, when it's just a bizarre story, strange news, anything like that. You know, we like it here. Trainwreck docu-series on Netflix. You got to enjoy that. Some of the people in the area, storming of the Area 51 episode, that's what makes it a watchable series. Definitely. So let's work our way over into our world of Bravo, right? If you're going to like crazy stories, well, let's get over to the crazy world of the Valley. Jax, still on edge, blowing up at every second. Brittany, again, I am so glad you have found your voice, because when somebody just doesn't give a shit and the gloves are off, they'll say anything and they just don't care. And that's where Brittany is right now. Jesse, you just get a little bit worse each time. I'm still struggling. I am still struggling with Janet. I don't know why you're there. Justin, I really want to like you. I cannot. Kristen, congratulations, Kristen, Nia. Something is going to still come down the pike with Danny. It's coming out and they're coming at you. This is kind of where we left off on part 2 of the reunion this past week. They were going in, they were digging their heels in with Danny and his stuff. And poor Mia, at the end, it was like, I think I'm having contractions or something. This poor girl, she's like 33 and a half weeks, I think she said she was. Be gentle on her sweet Nia. Now we know that now she's had her baby. Everybody's fine and healthy. Congratulations. But they were digging in on Danny. But the whole thing was Jax and Brittany going at it. Jax, God, something's still off with you. We know that you're a horrific person. You just suck. But something's still going on. I'm glad you say that you are drug-free. And Brittany, I'm glad you're randomly testing him. You might want to expand your test. There's something else going on there. Brittany said maybe steroids. I don't know, but something is still very off. You can't control narcissism. And she talks about how her shrink was like, we can control depression. We can control bipolarism, but we can't fix narcissism. That's the unbreakable thing right there. And yeah, and he just gets worse. And then when you realize how horrific you are and you double down, then you're like, it's my kid. I do everything for my kid. And when she talks about the rage texts and this and that, wow, it just keeps getting worse. I love that Zach is all about Team Brittany, but you could see how hurt Zach was that Brittany wasn't as ride or die for him. And that's kind of where we left off, that Zach is, he was a little hurt by Brittany this season. And I get it. And they've said they've come together and they fixed things, because as of last season, there was a little bit of a part in the ways. There was a little bit of a rift. They brought it back together. They're good now, but you could still see how hurt he was. And still Team Zach on this one. I really am. But interesting how Jessie called out the whole thing with Janet, how she just kept coming back in and wanting to pick a fight. She did. So I am curious to see if the entire cast comes back next season on the Valley. But I am definitely going to be watching part 3, because they're coming after Danny. Jasmine was saying that she was pissed, and his apology about inappropriately touching her, I don't know if it was her or her girlfriend or both. I thought it was just her girlfriend, now fiance. There's something more there. So we shall see where we left off. But the Valley, so far, part 1, part 2, the reunion, I've been into it. Definitely better than the reunion of Atlanta. When we talk about ride or die with Zach and Brittany, let's go over to the world of Miami. I have thoroughly enjoyed Miami this season. I'm glad Miami is back. I love the bright colors and just everything about it. And it's always a good theme. I enjoyed the dueling yachts last week. Alexis is still hypersensitive. Look, right now, Alexis is going through some things. She is on again, off again with Todd. And look, this is just a personal opinion. I am not a psychologist. There's some like psychological manipulation there in that relationship, and it's very uncomfortable. And I feel really bad for Alexis. You can see that Peter's trying to really comfort his mom. Peter's coming. Peter, you're putting a little bit of a better foot forward this season, so stick with it. We love you, Frankie. But the ride or die, how Marisol is for Alexis, is something to put that down in the books. That is one of the strongest die-hard relationships of friendships I have ever seen on The Housewives. They go way back to the original season. They are the original cast. Marisol, let's not forget, was the Ultimate Girls Trip. Where were they when they were roommates together? And everybody, it's pretty consistent through all the seasons of Miami and all the spinoffs where Alexis and Marisol have been together. Everybody's really kind of like Marisol, and they've had a little bit more of a difficult time with Alexis. I like Alexis. I like her strong personality. I like, she can be a little loco at times, and I kind of like that too. I like her. I think she's great television, and she's a little messy. Like all of us can be a bit, I guess. Some more than others. But I love her and Marisol's relationship, and you really see that in the forefront always. But today is something a little bit special. I'm so upset that everybody's going after Gertie. Gertie has come off really strong this season. She's always been a strong personality. I think we all need to give her a little grace and a little time. This woman is just newly in remission. She is just fresh out of her battle with cancer, and her and Martina. So I'm struggling watching Julia really go after. I'm struggling with Julia this season in general. I'm really not liking Julia. And you used to come off so sweet, you and your goats. And I'm really struggling with Julia this season. Who made the comment? Was it Larsa? Was it Lisa the other week that gets social climbing? Yeah, I don't know if it was them. I'm just trying to pull up somebody said it the other week. They made it like an off comment. It's social climbing. It does seem like social climbing to me, and just how she's turned her back on the other girls and Adriana, who's had your back as well. Yeah, it is. And I think Adriana is great. I do. She's messy. She's funny, but I love it. The old bony old knees still, I can't stop that comment. I love how they keep showing the clips. So funny. I'm really liking Adriana and all of her messiness. She's a great piece of the show. You got to keep her. But I'm enjoying Stephanie, the new girl, but I'm telling you, there's going to be a blowout. She doesn't play. She does not play, and I'm fine with it. She says what she thinks. She's young. She's strong. Who cares? That's her personality. Kind of like it. Like it a lot. But there's going to be some major pushback, and there's already with Alexis. And now that they're planning this girl's trip to Spain, and I think it's going to be nice. I think there needs to be a bridging. And this past episode, I'm happy we saw that at Marisol's party, which was really cute. The prep party, Larsa and Lisa were arguing. They're coming together, right? Then you have Gertie and Julia. They talked it out this past episode. They left hugging. Yay. And now Stephanie and Alexis, we're working on it. But I do kind of like that Stephanie's slowly working on Marisol. And I like Marisol. I really do. I think sometimes she's over the top. Sometimes she has too many props, with her Cockies glass and all that stuff. I kind of think she's funny. I think she's a little quirky. I think I like her. I like her. And I like she's ride or die friend. You know, we all need to feel like we have that friend no matter right or wrong. And it doesn't matter how wrong we can be. It doesn't matter. I want to know that when I have my best friend and I know I'm a little crazy, so yeah, I get a little crazy, but I still got you, girl. That's what we all want. That is Marisol. And I like that. I like that a lot. And she's always that way. Remember on the Ultimate Girls Trip, she was the same way with Alexis too. Everybody was going at her. But this episode, well done. You know, Stephanie, the new girl, asked Marisol on the, you know, they're going to transatlantic flight, by the way, from Miami to Spain. Look, I have a private jet. I only have a few seats. I have one seat available and I'd like to offer it to you, Marisol. I'm getting to know you. I'm having a lot of fun. Yay, yay, yay. Well, Marisol's like, I thank you so much, but I cannot leave Alexis. You know, I would be heartbroken if I left my friend Alexis. She's going through a difficult time and I just can't do it. Marisol, you wonderful, wonderful woman. That is so beautiful. So Stephanie's like, that is the nicest thing. So Stephanie goes to Alexis in a private moment. She said, look, I want you to know that I offered Marisol this seat. And she said, I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave Alexis. She's going through this difficult time. You can offer it to her if she wants, but I choose to stay with my friend. If we have to fly commercial, we fly commercial together. Go, girl. So Stephanie says to Alexis, I want to extend that seat to you. You know, Marisol offered it to you. You can have it despite our differences. This trip's to help you during your difficult time. So if you want to, you know, live it up a little bit on a private plane, let's do it. Alexis says, no, that's fine. I'll fly commercial. I was like, oops. And, you know, even somebody's like, who is giving up a seat on a transatlantic private jet? Like, who's going to do that? Well, Alexis and Marisol. And I gotta say, I really like how petty and catty Alexis can be. If anyone can be petty, if anyone can catty, that is Madam Alexis. She can do it better than anybody. And she'll give you the eyes. Bink, bink, bink. Love it. She's, you know, she's like, I thank you so much, but now you have a seat for somebody else. Offer it to whomever you want. So the ladies get back to the table and they're sitting there and she's like, I have a seat available for somebody else. She's like, you know, I'm getting to know Kiki. We have a lot of fun. This is Stephanie. And she's like, I'm getting to know Adriana and I love you, but I only have one seat and I don't want to fight. And Kiki, I'm telling you, Kiki, Team Kiki, she's my favorite of all time. She's like, I'm going to make this easy for you, Stephanie. If you're getting to know Adriana and don't really know her well, you give it to her. I want you to get to know her. And you just see Julia like freeze up. And because Julia now can't talk shit the entire time in negativity about Adriana, and you know, she wanted to poison the well of all the new girls. So, well, I'm talking about Stephanie and the other girls that are flying in that PJ. So, well played. Kiki's coming in with another one. I love you so much, Kiki. Team Kiki. I want to see if in next week's episode, when they start out in Spain, are we going to have a battle? You know, you always see it at every travel trip on the Housewives. Is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be a falling out? Who knows? I'm sure that there probably will be. And who will have the battle in Spain? It's going to be good. Everything gets a little bit spicier in Spain. It's such a great place. You got to love it. And speaking of epic battles, let's work our way over to Apple TV Plus. There was a phenomenal series that just dropped this past Friday that is called Chief of War, starring Jason Momoa, who's actually a co-creator of the series with Thomas Pa Sabat. I hope I said his name correctly. Please pardon me if I did not. I got to tell you, this is a epic series. It is so good. Warning, disclaimer here. If you do not like reading subtitles in a show, this series is not for you. It is all in subtitles. It is the native Hawaiian language. Beautiful language. Kudos to the writers, the co-creators, the directors, everyone on board, the people who help teach the language, to learn the culture, the history behind it. It is based on real history. It is based on the unification of the four islands of Hawaii and the just insane battles and the struggle of power and change. So good. Jason Momoa is the head warrior, and wow, there is this. It is nonstop action. The very first scene, Jason Momoa and the entire cast is good, but Jason Momoa is fighting a shark in the ocean. Okay, you've got my attention right away. And then just one war scene to another one scene. And there was this one scene where Jason Momoa's character, because he's just this a Herculean warrior, soldier, and he is called from the king of this other island to basically fight their head warrior to see how strong he still is. Well, this scene was so cool. He's throwing these spears, this other soldier, at Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is just running up this hill, catching the spears, throwing them back, and it was awesome. And the battle scenes, just amazing. Such a good series. They dropped 2 episodes right away during the first week. Thank you so much. I am hooked. It's a really good story. It's a really great watch. It will have your attention the entire episode. You really have to stay focused. If you miss a minute, you're missing some important details. So you definitely want to block out everything else so you can keep your focus on each episode. But what a great watch. To the designers and the costume designers on the show, I want to thank you so much for your accuracy to detail. Jason Momoa looks incredible in that loincloth. He is just like Da Vinci's perfect model for anatomical man. That I cannot imagine how many hours a day that he must spend in the gym. He is perfection, and he definitely, when you see him in the scene, he looks Herculean. He absolutely does. So, but just a really, really great show or mini series, 9 episodes to watch. It runs through September, but I have to say I'm shocked that it's not on the big screen. It definitely has cinematic effect. It definitely could be on a major screen in theaters. It definitely has that type of quality. It has Apple money, and well done. I need a good historical action like this. And thank you, Apple TV, Jason Momoa, Thomas Posabet. Thank you so much. It is so good. I can't imagine. I have to do a little bit more research. I want to figure out how many years did they study this story. I want to know about the design. How long did it take him to learn that language? He spoke it so fluently, so beautifully, like effortlessly. And I just think, as someone who loves music, some of those just beautiful languages, they just have such a flow and a melody. And I just thought it was such a pretty language, and I like it. It just really nice. And just the historical part of it, you see, like, some of the pale skins, the Europeans, the colonists that come over to Hawaii, and what the indigenous people thought of then, how freaked out they were to see somebody look different. And just the history in the late 1800s, just fascinating. Well done, Apple TV Plus. I loved it. 2 thumbs up from me. So good. Jason Momoa, great job. Great. And like I said, he wrestled a shark. He wrestled a shark, but such a great watch. Incredible backdrop of Hawaii. I was trying to see at certain scenes, like they'd have pictures of the islands and stuff like that. I'm like, is that AI or is that real? Because Hawaii is just so breathtaking and just so naturally beautiful. Like it was difficult to tell. So that is it for us today on Polywine. Thank you so much for joining us. Please follow us on Instagram at Polywine Time, and please follow Polywine and listen wherever you get your feed. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.